Hi, everyone. Welcome to 12 Step Crashers Podcast Freestyle Sunday number 7.
7.
Eric, 7. That means we've been doing that shit for 7 weeks already. More than that,
It's
because we
more than
skipped some
that.
of them.
I think so, yes. It's definitely more than
Officially,
that.
officially 2 months.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy enough to check. We could just open our phone and go see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's getting to be an habit. All right. I kind of feel incomplete if we don't end up our Saturday night shouting shit together.
Yeah. It's usually the case. We usually hung out for a day or two during the week. In the last couple of weeks, or ever since, a couple of weeks now, right? We haven't
That's
hung out. We'll probably hang out this week. Yeah, it's actually strange. It feels a little weird. Like I didn't get a fix or something. I got an itch
trying to say you missed me.
in an awkward kind of way, like a rash that I have to scratch.
But it's true.
This is how men express their emotion.
Yes, we scratch. Yes, instead of yeah. But it's true.
Got it.
The week you crossed your 1 year sobriety, prior to that, we had been hanging together a lot, and I was also tired. You were not the only one to be tired, so I guess normality of life also happens. You're no longer on vacation, so yeah, life is lifing, unfortunately.
Yeah. Back to the grind.
If being sober would be our only source of revenue, that'd be great.
That'd be good, eh? I'd be fucking rich.
Sober as fuck.
Sober as fuck, man. Holy shit. Oh yeah, you said you were under the weather. What do you got, a cold or?
Yeah, well, it's came out really unexpected, right?
Not
I
cold.
spend no, it is not. I tested. I don't have COVID. I just have my nostril hurt stuff. But that's the name of the game. Yeah, so I had a beautiful weekend with the kids. 3 days actually. Was my daughter's birthday. Living the moment. Not only 24. The moment, all the time.
There's a lot of hours in a week. Yeah, not just 24.
Yeah. You don't have to reset every 24. I came to understand. Yeah, but I had a very amazing time. So we were in nature, and well, we've seen the river increase by 3 feet over the course of one night. That has been impressive. But no floods. Got lucky. However, we went to bed relatively early yesterday, maybe 9:30, and I fell asleep with the kids, which I never do. And I slept tight up until like 4 a.m. But then I was not waking up, but I was so stuffed, I was having using dreams. It's the kind of stuff that I had after a bad streak. Like even if I'm sick, I would use, right? Then I would use Sinus to ensure that I could put some more inside myself. So I'm not sure exactly what the dream was because I don't remember it at the moment. But I remember at 5 a.m. I woke up. I just got out of the bed and went to run my nose. And I didn't make any thought of it. Like I'm probably not sick, but I have a runny nose, and that's it. So, but I was really early. The kids woke up like 2 hours and a half later, which tells you like I should have been tired. So I called a sober friend at that moment at 5 a.m. because, who was awake at 5 a.m. on a Sunday morning? Sober
Uh,
friends.
hey, yeah, me too. I would have been, but trying to go back to sleep.
Yeah, that's why I don't bother you specifically at 5 a.m. And then it started to bother me on the call. Like I was like, what you do when you're in active use. My nose was really bothering me. And then I started remembering the dreams. Like, oh, yeah, it's pure nightmare, right? I don't romanticize using, even in my dreams. It's nightmare. Like, it's not something I desire, not a tiny bit. So my using dreams are always after the fact I have used, and then what then? And not like, oh, I'm high on my dream. No, no. I have used. I'm gonna have to deal with. I always dream about the bad thing. That's just kind of interesting. I don't dream about the good, if there's even a good part. And I stressed like this afternoon when I realized I was getting sick and like I'm stuffed all around because I cannot use efficient cold medication. I cannot use anything with pseudoephedrine. I cannot use NyQuil because it would spark methamphetamine and amphetamine and even opiates on the drug test. Um, and that's okay. Like I understand that, but it makes me feel vulnerable, and I'm lucky. That's only the second time I'm getting a cold since getting sober. Like that concept that because I've been a drug addict and I'm still not trusted, I cannot properly medicate to be comfortable. It's still in my mind feels extremely belittling. Um, and as you often say, like I can suck it up and I will pursue with my day, my week. That won't stop. But maybe that's a good thing that I cannot use pseudoephedrine because I can get high on that. I can abuse it.
Is
There
that something
might
you
be a
worry
good
about?
reason.
Do you worry about that?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't worry. I don't worry
So
for a
it's
second.
precautionary. It's precautionary.
It's precautionary because I wouldn't want to fail a drug test.
That's true. Yeah, I forgot about that too. No, but
Yeah,
let's say you didn't have a. I'll put the question to you. If you didn't have a drug test, would you use it anyways?
but yeah,
You would
but yeah,
use it. You're not
because
worried about that.
no, but I
Because
never abused it.
yeah, no, I understand. But we know how some people in recovery talk about these things, and they're almost uh, obsessively afraid of this stuff. Like
Um,
it's
for
going to
me,
trigger them to relapse. And I suppose some people would, depending on their addictions, maybe it would.
yes, yes. For me, it really is. Like my problem has been that one substance that will stuff your nose. For me, having a stuffed nose is the trigger itself. Like right now,
Me,
again, I don't get urges. I'm not scared that would lead me to use. It just makes me feel the way I was when I was sick because I was using. The difference there. Like I'm not. It doesn't trigger me in a sense that, oh, I want to use. No, not at all. But it kind of brings me back emotionally and physically, like in that past where I would be sitting at that very fucking desk using all day and having a stuffy nose all day, which would be the byproduct of my behaviors. Um, and why I say that pseudoephedrine or any cold medication that works is not really a risk factor for me because that's the point, right? If I'm not congested and I can breathe through my fucking nose, I don't feel like I was in active use. And I drink too much coffee. You probably can
I never noticed.
attest to that.
No, I never noticed.
But I'm drinking less and less coffee, though. Like it's not like I'm not trying to address the situation. But it's no secret that I have a high tolerance for stimulants, period. Like all of them. Like pseudoephedrine is it's a decongestant. It's yes, you can make crystal meth out of it, but you need a fucking lot of pseudoephedrine to get crystal meth. Um. So yeah, I don't. I think yeah, I've also shared that a lot. That I don't fear substances themselves, especially like it's interesting. We had a meme about being California sober that just broke the entire internet multiple times.
The pages you
People are
put it, yeah.
fucking mad.
Yeah.
People are fucking mad that I dare you say marijuana is a drug. Like if drug means evil, I mean all fucking drugs have legitimate reason indication to use. Like there's a reason those things are manufactured. It's to cure illnesses, right?
Even
So
the
yeah, but well,
even the illicit ones and the ones that are taboo or illegal have been used by centuries by tribals, by natives, by the Mayans, whatever, right? Pick an ancient civilization and they use this stuff, right? So
yeah, and well,
has
they
a
live
purpose.
until they're 34 and they die, but that that's not even the reason. I don't even
Not
shouldn't even be
that
mentioning this.
wasn't the reason. It was heart disease.
Yes, and being bit by a snake or
Yeah.
STDs and whatever.
Yeah, especially STDs. A lot of syphilis back then, man.
Yeah. But it's interesting what you say. Like in Colombia, even to this day, like people in the field will chew coca leaf. But can you see how different that is from actually snorting the shit they sell in the street? Like there's no relationship between one
Colombia,
another.
I'm gonna write that down.
Anyway, Colombia, coca leaves. Trying to see if you can import that and do a tea. Motherfucker. but yeah, so
Deciding.
mm, hmm
What was
you're
that?
very self-aware. You're very self-aware about the fact you romanticize drugs as they were not the problem in your life.
Could you drip any more sarcasm out of that statement?
Well, you're talking about living in the solution, right?
Wow. That was good. I appreciated that. Thanks. That made my day.
I only went there because you went there yesterday in your share, right?
That was good. I don't even remember my share yesterday. You know I don't remember half my shares unless you bring it up again.
But you know, I called my best friend.
Yep.
To the nurse and she coached me on what I should do. So I'm properly medicated, and now I should use powerful affirmations such as "I will not be sick tomorrow," and apparently I'll be cured.
There you go.
Not sure if I should believe in this, but I want to.
That's a good thing we're doing this on a podcast so people have this information.
Yeah, I'll report back.
We don't want to hold back.
But yeah, so I think I'm trying to be clear about the discomfort of all this, and especially also like having to pay attention because 90% of whatever is on the counter would make me fail my P test, and probably even my air test in a couple of weeks. Other than that, well, it's the second time around, right? So yeah, having a runny nose, yes, it brings me back there. But then there's a thing called CBT, DBT. It helps with that. It's the SMART program helps with that. Because I can fucking reframe those ideas, right? Like everybody gets sick, everybody gets a runny nose. That's gonna happen 100 times maybe until I fucking die. I hope not, because that would be more than once a year. Not maybe 40 times. Yeah, that would happen 40 times before I die. Yeah, something like that. And I'll have to deal with it. I should deal with it today, right?
It's because we sort of talked about this before. I don't think you want my answer.
I
But
paused. I opened the door.
okay, you open the door. I will just clarify. I have been sick too in recovery. Colds, like flu-like symptoms once, and had a cold. It lasted. It lasted about 5 days. Just a regular ass cold, right?
Mhm.
And it's funny. I don't know why it doesn't register as old behavior for me. It just registers as a cold.
But you always said you never use insane amount of cocaine or any other
Well,
drugs,
most of
right?
the time cocaine was a maintenance, but hey, there are nights when I abuse or weekends I abuse cocaine. Not gonna lie about that. But all I say is that I know the separation between the two. I definitely would know if ever I felt like I did while I was in active use, waking up in the morning, that would trigger me. I've never felt like that again. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Maybe like if I was terminally sick, then I would feel that way because that's pretty close on some days, right?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like a really mental sludge that I worked my way through to just be a machine. Like turn off all emotions, turn off all desires, cares, and thoughts about being better or taking care of oneself, and just go to work. Suck it up, Buttercup. Yeah, you did what you did last night, as you do every night, and now go fucking feel pity at work. Feel your pity and you complain about what you did and see, oh man, why if I only would have stopped at 10, instead of having 14, I wouldn't feel this way. Oh, if I wouldn't have went to bed an hour earlier. I don't get triggered by colds. So,
But it's
and
really
I've
sound
always
like
because I
you see.
use I because I use for so long, my nose has been fucked for 20 years. So I'm actually very used to my nose. It's like I just blew my nose while you were talking about it, right? It's like
Yeah.
it was building up. I'm used to my nose always being kind of like uh, leaking or stuffy or something going on with it. It's just uh, I was not its best keeper. Yeah. So for that, I
Yeah.
don't know the feeling about it. I don't have to do any kind of DBTs or CBT because my thought doesn't go there. Actually, I get like a lot of things that just won't surprise you since you know how I work my program. So when I get a cold, I actually have a routine for that too, right?
Of course you do.
Yes, I do. I have a maintenance routine. It does not involve cocaine. And, it's 10,000. It's,
Let me do
it's a
some
lot of
evening as I'm
vitamin
listening
D.
to you.
You're hate everything now. I'm sorry. Did I trigger you? Uh, that's not the cocoa leaves. All right. Um, what a job that is, eh? How great is that job? Well, at least when you ask them, eh? While they're working, they must feel pretty good. It's when they leave, when they go home. They probably can't wait to go back to work. They're at home. Oh, and the boss, I need to come to work. Anyhow, uh, I
Well,
had,
that's interesting.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm off now.
Well, we can go back to what you have in
No, that's
mind.
fine. I'd
But
rather not.
I definitely want to go back there. So I was thinking out loud as you were mentioning, because yes, well, as you've mentioned, yes, you had your nights where you would abuse cocaine. But okay, breaking news: I had a 423 days streak of coke,
Nice.
and I had COVID in that period, right? So nothing would stop me from doing coke. So
I have a similar streak.
with alcohol,
No, cocaine too. I just said I didn't abuse cocaine.
High five.
Take it as you will. Take it as you will. I mean, holy shit. I said I didn't abuse it. Now define abuse. This is not a good topic. We're talking about recovery. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so my thought process was in that sense, right? Alcohol, yes, I would abuse here and there, but I like maybe 3 days my maximum strength on alcohol. I wouldn't drink every day. So when I'm feeling, I don't know, nauseated or if I have a stomach flu, it doesn't trigger me because the few times I drank myself to that point, I don't associate like being sick or throwing up with alcohol. I guess you probably don't because you're Irish. Brad,
Wow. Send your emails to Eric.
so that's a build up to my question.
Yeah.
Did you have any physical symptoms when you were drinking? Yeah, you ate drinking, and symptoms that you could experience being sick that would be reminiscent of it.
The way you phrase it, is there any kind of way that I would think about when I was drinking?
When you were drinking, did you have any symptoms that you can remember? Like I felt like this, or my legs were like this, so like that. If you get sick, that could bring you back, like mentally, make that association. And the reason why I'm asking is because I didn't drink enough for this to happen. I snorted cocaine enough for this to happen to me. Stop picking your nose.
Sorry. I know that's like on camera, don't give a shit, eh?
It doesn't trigger me, but I thought it was good for the
No,
podcast.
I mean, it's just fun for everybody else that are all at home going, grab some Perel, don't stop touching everything. As you can see, not much bothers me. Wow, it's interesting you bring that up. Okay, let me just say, I don't know. It would be the answer. Because
Hysterical.
if look, I got COVID at one time at work, and this is before I went to recovery, and so I had the fever, right? So, I tested positive. We had the strips, and as soon as my fever broke, I started to drink. It was like as soon as the fever broke, I'm like, I'm good now. I was just waiting for the fever to break so I could start drinking. I just ignore. I just power through all other symptoms. I get a stomach cold. I power through it didn't matter. Nothing stopped me from having my drink when I wanted to drink. Sure, there were times when I delayed my drinking until I started to feel a little better. Fortunately, I have this, I'm like Wolverine. I have this great regenerating body that, like, if I start to feel sick, I deals with it very fast, just in time for me to get my nightly drink on. It was weird, okay? It was almost like my brain overrode my body on most situations, okay? There's fucking full-blown alcoholism right there. But I don't think the only thing that would trigger me would be a relapse. That would trigger me, and then that's why I always say I can never relapse, because I think it would be no coming back. It would be my last relapse, my one and only. I think it would be like, I'm done. I don't know that I'd come back for it. That scares the shit out of me a lot.
That's why if you ever lapse, I'm not letting you isolate, motherfucker.
Yeah, don't. But I have not noticed anything. Me, it's all visual, right? I've told you, it's like I'll go to a place and I'll get an image of something. That triggers thoughts. How I'm actually feeling, like scratchy throat, runny nose, fever, I know we're on a podcast. So let's say you have the runs, which is diarrhea or something. None of this makes me think of that. I have complete separation of the two. So that's the only way I can say it is it feels like a completely separate, different thing. So for me, it doesn't affect.
That's a good answer. And even though it's theoretical, the answer is probably no. There's nothing that would make you feel like you felt when you were miserably drinking yourself to death.
Yes, because I think you know why? It's because my mind is not in that mindset. That's why. My mind is in sobriety mindset. I'm not in that doom and gloom, cynical death spiral that I was in. So unless
You
I'm
know,
into that, unless my mind goes there, like I said before the podcast, maybe if I had a terminal disease, you know, then maybe it would trigger like some old feelings of how I used to be. You know, something that would keep you bedridden for most of the morning until you got the strength to get up or whatever. Something like that, you know.
like a
Something.
depression.
Well, I think I was in a depression the first time before I quit drinking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't, like I said, I don't experience any of that. Those are not my triggers. My triggers are usually visual and emotional.
And emotional with relationship or things unsaid.
A lot of different things emotionally. That's why I go to therapy. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Very closed off person. I know sometimes on this podcast maybe doesn't seem like it, but recovery has really made me become more introspective, more aware, more mindful of not closing myself off to myself, especially.
But that's interesting you bring this up, but because not only you as an introvert, I am extremely introvert myself. Like we think we are comfortable in public, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not extroverted. Like I don't seek like company of a lot of people. I'm good and I need to be on my own. Um, so yeah, I think there's difference. Well, we go on a podcast for an hour, but after we stop talking for a few hours too, right? There's a
Right.
balance there.
To put it into perspective, like people can be introverted without like being like the stereotype or the you don't hear a word from them and that, right? Like, but I wouldn't be in a gas station and let's say I have a problem. I wouldn't like if while there's full of people in a lineup suddenly start speaking my problem out loud to the manager, right? So everybody can hear. I'm not that type of extrovert, you know. I will wait my turn. I will get to the cash, and unless I'm really in a hurry, I'm like cut the line. But I'm not going to start, making a scene. I don't want attention on me, obviously. Like most people, I assume don't. I don't seek that kind of attention, not like that, anyways. So yeah,
It's
I know I'm
interesting about
introvert.
your tendency to break rules, but not to bring attention to yourself. Like that seems a bit counterintuitive.
Have you been caught in my car? No.
No, I was one thinking about your anecdote about the grocery store, but anyways,
Which one was that? Grocery store. Oh,
I think they didn't have milk,
oh yeah, yeah.
so you walked to the back store, and then when
No,
you
no, no, no.
were,
Oh, well, wait. You gotta tell it right. Okay.
you could tell it.
They did not have my oat milk. There was a listeria outbreak, right? There was a listeria outbreak. I won't say the place. I won't say it was something with a wall and a mark at the end. And so,
Really?
yes, it is. How'd you know? Anyways, so
Roxy, all right.
at the fridge section, okay, they and there was only one brand that supposedly had listeria, but they pulled everything. So like, it's getting late, right? It was a Sunday. I'm shopping in my area. A lot of the places close at 5 on a Sunday. So not all of them, but I didn't feel like driving to the other two. So it's like, okay, I'm up against the clock. I want to get home. It's getting close to 5. I haven't started cooking. And I'm in one of those days where I'm feeling absolutely 100% about myself. Like there's no insecurities gnawing at me on this particular day. And so right beside the fridge section of the store where there's regular milk, but there's no any oat milk or almond milk at all. But beside the fridge section is the swinging doors, to go into the warehouse section. And one of the doors is open because I guess they were going back and forth carrying stuff. And I was with my daughter, and I went, wait for me here. She goes, where are you going? I said, I'm going to see if they have any milk in the back. I said, maybe these guys, because it's so late, they just haven't restocked or anything. She goes, well, you can't go back there. I said, there's no sign. There's no sign saying no entry. So I walk in, and the guy is the guy is bent over. He's doing something, and he's working alone. There's no one around. So I come in. I go, excuse me, in French. Excuse-moi. Tu sais, je cherchais du silk ou quelque chose dans ce genre. I'm looking for silk milk, something of that sort. Do you have any, right? And he wasn't expecting anybody. He literally jumped. He was at a bent position. He went going like this. And, and so you heard what I said. And he starts approaching me going, what are you doing here? I just told you I'm looking for some milk. I expected that answer, right? I'm playing dumb. I'm being my asshole self now that I like to tap into every now and then. And
Yeah.
I'm making him explain to me why I can't be there. And he's telling me, you can't be back here. This is for employees only. He goes, you can't go through those doors. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see any sign saying no entry. And he was like, for a second, he stopped. This guy, he thought about it. There is no sign. And he just repeated, well, you can't be back here. So anyway, long story short, they didn't have any milk in back either that they could give me. But yes, I do that sometimes. We've had this conversation about the concert and everything too, where the crowd's going this way, I'm going the other way.
My point is, this is actually bringing direct attention to you.
I was not seeking, but there was only one person. It's a one-on-one. It was very personal. It was very intimate. It was intimate.
Yeah, you were in his intimacy. You were in his intimacy. That's a good way to say it.
It's a beautiful day, I let the sun in. I can feel the heat around me, everything is humming. Then I notice you can never stop your mouth from running. So I figured I should slow it down and tell you something. Look, I ain't backing down. Oh no, I ain't backing down. It won't be that type of show. I ain't backing down. Oh no, I ain't backing down. That won't be the way it go. No, I ain't backing down. Oh no, I ain't backing down, you know where to find me though. So I ain't backing down. Oh no, I ain't backing down. Come and find me, we can throw. Cause I ain't backing down. I've been watching you slowly act like you can own me, but you do not know me now. You don't think twice now, homie, cause this ground is holy. Don't step out, it's lonely. You've been sitting quiet while you lie, and everything about you is false, no multiple choice. But I guess that's only right when Dolomite ain't really got much of a voice. Shit talk on the line, and in reality you back on the pole like a lineman. What a shock, you was vibing, then you hated and basically flipped on a diamond. I'm no bullshitter quitter, I'm a man that follows through. Part-time role model, true, everything that apostles do. I know you got into the bottle too. Bipolar, it's obvious news. I don't know many things in this life, but I know that your mama should have swallowed you. It's a beautiful day, I let the sun in. I can feel the heat around me, everything is humming. Then I notice you can never stop your mouth from running. So I figured I should slow it down and tell you something. Look, I ain't backing down. Oh no, I ain't backing down. It won't be that type of show. I ain't backing down. Oh no, I ain't backing down. That won't be the way it go. No, I ain't backing down. Oh no, I ain't backing down. You know where to find me though. So I ain't backing down. Oh no, I ain't backing down. Come and find me, we can throw. Cause I ain't backing down. I've been watching you slowly act like you can own me, but you do not know me now. You don't think twice now, homie, cause this ground is holy. Don't step out, it's lonely. I
like I don't really understand why you snapping like a rubber band. I kept giving you another chance, let you grab a hold the upper hand. You kept throwing me to trouble, man. I can't trust you on the motherland, acting like a motherfucker, man. What's your problem? Why you chucking sand? I just wanna kick it on the beach with the fam, make a few grands, get a lick like bam. Love this life and I will not stand for the bitch type moves. I will get those banned. Keeping wild till you get this brand. Demon child, yeah, the kid's quite damn. Speaking foul, gonna get you hanged. If you don't disband, I'ma get you canned. Damn.
Beautiful day, I let the sun in. I can feel the heat around me, everything is humming. Then I noticed you can never stop your mouth from running. So I figured I should slow it down and tell you something. Look, I ain't backing down. Oh no, I ain't backing down. It won't be that type of show. I ain't backing down. Oh no, I ain't backing down. Come and find me, we can grow. 'Cause I ain't backing down.
Well, in the tradition of making music videos that are detrimental to my physical well-being, here we are. So,
It doesn't hurt that much.
I ain't backing down.
Get the fuck out of my bubble.
Calling the
Yes.
cops.
I haven't got back. I'm sure there's a no entry sign now.
But what did your daughter do during all that time? She ran away, right?
This is
She
not
waited
the
for
first
you.
time I do something
She
like
used to your bullshit.
this. Yeah. Same thing. We were at the movie theater and we watched the movie come out. And we're on the second floor where there's nobody to take your ticket. It's like, okay, let's just hang around here for 10 minutes and go into the movie next door that's starting. She's like, no, can't do that. We didn't pay for it. I go, what the fuck are you talking about? There's nobody up here to take your ticket. They don't care. They just want you in the theater. You're going to buy popcorn. No, can't do that. I'm going, God, you're not my child. You know?
I just want to say for Mr. Guzzo, who is a big fan of our
It wasn't
podcast.
Guzzo.
Anyways, to whoever, it was theoretical. Eric never did that. Eric is an honest
well,
man.
we didn't because my daughter's a goody two shoes. Well, I don't lie. I will try to
Well-
talk my way out of a situation. Well, I won't flagrantly lie. I sometimes act ignorant, like I don't know what's going on. That's a form
you-
of lying, I
You
suppose.
know, you,
Well, I'd like to see that go to court. That'd be funny.
let's change subject.
Okay.
Mhm.
I forget what were we talking about? Oh, sick. Yeah, sick, right? All right. How did we get
Yes,
on
we
this topic?
were getting back to your idea that I interrupted you about 30 minutes ago. Yeah, you were saying.
I was saying,
Yes, and then you said, I'd rather not go back there. And then I said, we definitely
Yes.
will go back there.
and well, we're not going there.
Okay.
Not going there. It's going to be about drugs, right? It's something about drugs.
Boundaries.
We just
Um,
talked about my daily maintenance, anyways. It's not a pissing contest. Yes, you did more coke than me. Cheers. Oh, by the way, bubbly. Still no sponsor. What the
Menu
fuck is
Brew.
that? What is
President
that?
choice. Well, it's I was at Shopper Drug Mart, right? Because I needed meds. And well, President choice.
Okay, fine. Whatever.
I need
Doesn't
more
taste-
water. I'm like, like a cannon's not enough. I need to hydrate a lot.
Yes.
And
How old
I
is your
think-
daughter now, by the way? I saw the cake online. I didn't see how old.
she turned
I didn't pay
9.
attention or I didn't notice.
Turned 9 years old, and that's just crazy. Feels like she was born yesterday. But in
Shit, yeah, it
between,
goes fast.
yes. In between just the last year and a half, not only me did grow and healed as a person, I'd like to say that my sobriety, even though it has been special, how things evolve, it is, and I can see it beneficial for all of my kids. I am definitely, not that I was necessarily the worst dad ever. I don't think so. But I'm definitely a better dad today. And I was joking when we opened the podcast about living in the moment, but this is what I do, man. I only get 2 or 3 days a week, and every second week, actually. There's absolutely not a single thing that matter but those kids. During that time, it's been it pays off. That's quality time. I want to say one of the best version of quality time you can get with your kids. Yeah. So that was last year was heavy because we had split like a month before we
Right.
celebrated her birthday. Not
Right.
even three weeks. So everybody was still under trauma. But this year there's a sense of normality around all this.
Well, I think I don't know. You tell me. Is it because the kids see that you both are, for them, the split almost feels like some kind of abandonment, a problem, like it centers around them. Sometimes that's sometimes how they think. I'm sure this year has probably shown them that, yes, there's this travel back and forth, but
Yeah.
there's, well, you go ahead. I mean, this is what I'm asking you. What do you,
Well, I was a child of a divorce myself, so
Right.
I'm well positioned to understand it, especially for my daughter more than
Yeah,
my
I'm not,
youngest
so-
son.
Yeah.
It's the transition that are bad. Because there's kind of a disbalance, right? It's 2 or 3 days out of 14. The arriving is difficult, like the transition between the two houses, and the going back as well, because like you don't want to miss the parent that you're leaving, but you're so excited to see the other one, and then at the other end it's the opposite, right? You don't want to leave the parent that you're leaving to go see the other one, and it's an infinite cycle like that. And as child psychologists very often write about, it's of loyalty dilemma, like, and in their mind, and they will express it very often, the only solution would be a reunification. So that
Right.
takes a lot of explaining and just no rationalizing why it is not possible and why it's better this way, even though yeah, you're suffering, but it's better off this way because da 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 da. It's a very difficult discussion to have, and it's best to have it when you're sober, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But it's getting better because, as hard as it can be, it's peaceful, And yeah, transition are difficult. My daughter is ADHD like myself, and she's diagnosed. She's medicated for that, so she's emotionally very, very sensitive. She feels things harder than most people, and it has a direct impact on that as well. But as I said, like, I understand why the behavior changes like that, because I was the same when I was her age. And the fact that I'm sober as fuck, I see things clearly.
Right.
And now, say for the very first time in my life, I'm able to hear anything and pause, process before I open that little guy.
Yeah.
So
Before
that
you come out with
whatever-
just the answer, right? To dismiss the question or to take care of the question. And there I answered that.
Yes, and whatever was difficult when I was in
Addressed it.
active use would be like an instant joke, or just like make fun of it, or say something silly, just so that it not acknowledge that it is important, right?
I had
Um,
a habit. Sorry, when you go, I had a habit of answering what I believe they wanted to hear, but what
Yeah.
was my opinion, and there was no questioning that, and just drop it and move on. Like I did it, like you were talking about reflecting, taking that pause. I didn't do
yes,
that. And I didn't think about what I was saying, how it might hurt them if it was not what
no,
they wanted to hear.
no, and I acknowledge now that I'm sober that I've been extremely hurtful because of that as a coping mechanism. Either avoidance by making something very serious and sensitive a joke, or answering without putting thoughts into it. Those are two very toxic ways to handle a sensitive discussion, right? So now I was talking about my daughter, but that is to every relationship I ever had before getting sober. So making amends to the world on that podcast. I know better now. Again, that is 100% smart. This is 100% smart program put in action. The concept of, okay, this is what I'm hearing triggers an emotion in me. You know what? I don't even know what that emotion is. And by the time I would have provided an answer before I worked the smart program, I wouldn't even know what my emotion was. I would yell an answer that is, coming from out of my ass, because that was my coping mechanism, not to actually address the true question. When I say smart broke me, this is one very good area. I'm unable not to think before I talk now.
Right.
Even if I'm mad, even if I'm not going to control my emotion and I'm going to yell, I have think it through and I choose to yell. Well, not necessarily choose. Maybe I'm going to lose control, but what I'm going to say, I had the second think of it. And that's changed a lot of things when you think about it. Like having meaningful conversations, having difficult conversations. How can you actually do that if you don't think for a second? That's how I live my life. And apparently I was very convincing, very entrusted, because everything went fine. Like at work, I was working this way. Like I felt attacked by something that was coming my way. I would interrupt the person and actually like drop knowledge about the topic. So that would go like just away. But it's not okay. It's just not okay.
You know, it's interesting. Made me think the way you bring in smart, like you say, smart broke you. Like I'm cognizant of the fact now. I'm cognizant of the fact that some days I'm really, because we talk about sometimes that we're neurodivergent. We have like some form of one thing or another, right? I'm not diagnosed. I don't know, right? I know I have certain behaviors and it's just different, right? And what I am cognizant now is, and I'm not talking when I was in full blown active use, when my kids were growing up, I normal days before I started drinking all the time and all that. But I always answered almost robotically. Like you said, that pause and that processing. I didn't really do that. And I always gave what I believe was my truth, and without regard, and very matter of factly, just say something, without any regard for anyone's feelings or any thought put behind it, or even caring in some ways about the response, because I answered that. Boom, next. That's how my brain works. Problem. this situation, this problem, this thing was addressed, move on to the next thing. And I noticed with CBT that I'm able to identify when I'm having those behaviors. I'll notice it partway through, that I'll realize I'm processing like I used to process. I'm just processing, like an assembly line. And I'll catch myself, and I'll think, and I'll have to tell myself, be mindful, be aware what the other person's saying, pay attention to their words they're using, look at their face and see what emotion is stirring up. All things I wouldn't do before someone telling me, because how would I know? And did I care? Until I was told that heritage by someone, you might be neurotypical, and I started looking into it and what it could mean. And then looking on past actions and the way I handled things, I was never mean. It was just, looking back on it, it must have seemed kind of cold, very matter of fact, very cold. And I was that way in a lot of personal relationships, a lot of them. And that's just what I'm trying to do better now. None of that had to do with addiction. All of those, what I'm thinking, when I think back to that, it's like you talk about amends. Well, I'm not sure I would have any amends to do, because it's not from my addiction, the amends, right? Now, am I supposed to go back and apologize for something I didn't know I had? I don't think so. Is there some people that never told me that, oh yeah, we kind of knew that about you. Well, why didn't you tell me? I would have looked into it instead of just not telling me. I mean, no, but you understand what I'm saying? It's like these things I didn't know about, and when they were brought to my attention, I tried to do something about them. And this is what I mean by when you say CBT broke you. Well, I don't consider it breaking, but yes, it's like anything else. When I put my mind to it, it really jams in there, and it doesn't go away, and it just it affects everything I do now. Would be the way to say it.
Well, that's definitely the same for me. When I say breaking, it's breaking.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
The actual toxic coping mechanism.
Right.
It's not something that I want to get back to, It's a good thing that is broken. But what you said, and I was actively listening to you right just now, I think the podcast also crystallized that for me, but listening, like actively listening to somebody without thinking about what I'm going to reply, building up what my sentence going to be, then stop paying attention to what a person is even saying, is very new to me. And this is not even addictive behavior. I think for me, it really is ADHD. So as an ADHD person, I get the general idea of what you're saying in 5 minutes and maybe 15 seconds. So then my brain then wanders elsewhere, and then I'm unable. I was unable to pay attention for a long period of time to somebody talking. It is not the case. At least it is not the case while podcasting, either with you or with a guest. Like, I'm actively listening, and I have no idea what I'm going to say when I'm going to open them out.
I still have problems following. My brain still will catch a thought and wants to go, and I have to rein myself in. I have to. It takes a second. Boom. Like I'm off, but then I'm back. Right, and it happens a lot. It's probably like sometimes. Well, when I rewatch some of the podcasts, and I see how my thought goes there, my eyes shift a different direction, and my thought does too. And the same thing watching myself when I watch you. And I look at my eyes don't stay in one place. They keep shifting, moving all the time. I don't sit still. And I thought I was a calm person. I sat still. I do within a contained space, but I'm still moving in this shape, right? It's like I'm not hopping off the walls, but there's always a little tick going on, right?
But that that subtlety is the reason why ADHD did not exist without the D. You know, like ADHD is you are always hyperactive, right? So even if you're not moving physically, your brain remains hyperactive. So it's not only a deficit of attention, but like the hyperactivity is the way the brain works. Like I'm saying, like pay attention on the podcast, but sometime my brain will also just look for a squirrel. But what she's saying is that you're very cognizant of it, and it lasts for a second or a few seconds because, well, that's the greatest change in me. It's that self-awareness. I am not gonna bullshit myself about pretty much anything, and definitely not gonna be all that I'm ADHD, so it's normal. I'm not paying attention to the person in front of me. It is not. I have to find ways to function, even though I'm a neurodivergent. And it is disrespectful not to pay attention to the person, so I'll find ways to pay attention, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a revelation for me, the state heritage. You know, first there was the detox, right? And then of course there was like I told you the story how after my 3 days of detox, suddenly I was placing everything in the rec room, right?
Yeah.
And making the rec room mine. Basically, this is how I like it. And I was never obsessive compulsive, or at least not to my surroundings, right? I had something to be obsessive compulsive about. It was my drug maintenance and my alcohol. To take that away from me, and now I needed something else, right? And just like when I went to that concert, remember I told you when they didn't play, when the crowd was given a choice of 3 songs to choose from,
And
they
choose the
didn't
one you
choose,
like.
they did choose the song that was well known and was their breakout hit, and they chose a song that they all talked through, much like that show we went through. It took every bit of DBT for the next half hour to get my head back into the show. It took a lot of DBT to realize that this is how I am, and you are super hyper focused on the fact that they didn't choose a song that was out of your control, and now you won't let it go, and it's all you can think about, and now you're singing this song in your head instead of listening to the song that's playing. You know? It's like it took half an hour of DVT to kind of reset my mood, which was going off the fucking rails. And when I think back to it now, could have been cause for a fucking relapse. Yeah, had I let it spiral, right?
Have you ever heard about the Serenity Prayer?
What the fuck is that?
That could have
thing they
helped you.
open with all the time. No, I know what it is. Of course I know what it is.
I know. That could have helped you at the moment, right? Because you were at a loss of serenity there.
If I would have said I wouldn't have been doing my DBTs. Yeah, what kind of fucking problem solving is that? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Sometimes it doesn't have to be complicated. Oh, I don't have control over this, so what am I going to do about it? Nothing.
That's what I was saying, but it was more than that.
I know.
Anyway,
It was real.
It was in the moment of half an hour realizing that, hey, you've been like this for other situations. It's all that realization happened at a concert with the music blaring. So that's how much I was in my head for about half an hour. But anyways, what were we talking about?
Hell no, we're fucking idiots. I have absolutely no idea how we got there.
Well, this is good. You know, I posted a meme earlier today. I don't know if you saw it. Did you
The
see
Metal
the meme?
Olympics? No, I haven't seen these today,
No.
except for the Metal Olympics.
No, go check on your computer. Go check on your computer. Go see. It's right on our page. I didn't post the Meth Olympics. Great. Now oh no, the podcast will come out before after the Meth Olympics.
Oh, right.
It's not bad. I like that one. The Meth Olympics.
Okay, so what is it about?
It's us. You'll see it. Don't scroll by it.
Okay, I'm gonna share
It's
it to
about
the
our
audience.
podcast. It's about two neurodivergent start a podcast. And what did I write? Jeez, I wrote the fucking thing. Okay.
Yeah.
First question. How was your day? An hour and 10 minutes later, podcast ends.
Okay, I don't care. Nobody likes
That
it.
reminds
I
me of the
fucking
Father's
love
Day
it.
episode. The Father's Day episode.
Yeah, that was 20
I asked-
minutes.
I asked one question, and I may as well just go out and get dinner.
How was your day? Well, you know, you have a moment.
That was good.
I like this episode. I think it's my favorite one. First freestyle, at least.
What's that?
The Father's Day episode, because I was extremely vulnerable about things I never talked about before.
You know, if I had to pick an episode, I think she's molting. But if I had to pick an episode, I think it was the episode we had Liz on. That was I always liked that episode.
And you're not the
but we talked
only
about
one.
the group. We talked about community. It was very much like a trauma bonding episode, right? I guess.
Yeah, but you're definitely not the only one. That was the most popular podcast we ever did. Right? So,
Yeah,
well, Ryan was also very popular, but
that's true. Yeah.
she even topped our pilot. Can you imagine this 142 views for you being mad for 3 hours?
Well, I was mad. You were setting me up on purpose, fucker. Eric had therapy about anger today. What can I bring up during the podcast that he's going to go off on?
You know, you should have an open mind, and you, by the way, calm yourself down.
That was good. That was like, I don't want to go there. Tell me to calm down.
But
Don't tell me to calm down.
that was a good one as well. The first time we tried that for 3 hours was a bit long, but
But yeah, I like how we went into it thinking, how are we going to talk for an hour? That was great, eh? You remember that? Geez, I hope we can get an hour out of this.
2 addicts in a
cigarette-
fucking room.
3 cigarette breaks later. It was like a hockey game. 3 periods. Yeah.
Yeah, unless we just crossed the hour mark, which I think is called for burning desires.
Burning desires. What the fuck? Burning desire. Do I have a burning desire to share anything? No, no, I don't actually. I think you got a lot out of me that I didn't necessarily know I was going to say tonight. So, yeah. Well, I've laughed a lot, so that's good. It's probably good to. It'll probably tire me out because laughing probably is like a release of serotonin, dopamine at the same time. I have to try and sleep. I do have the squirrel. Yeah. Buddy, I made a meme about Seroquel. I don't know if you saw that one. The meme about Seroquel?
Was it recent?
Yeah, fairly recent. Would have been yesterday, I think.
That's like 30 memes away.
Yeah. Well, I was productive. What can I say?
Uh,
I was productive. I got a lot
anyways.
done around the house. I stayed home.
Was it before the candle in the sober house or after?
Yeah, it's before that. There's a guy running after this girl down the street. You see it.
Wait. So as I'm scrolling, I'm going to share my screen because
Yeah.
here's
Okay.
this one. This one was so fucking good.
It was very popular. People commenting on it. Like, I knew a guy that did this. And another guy going, geez, I hope they don't do that at the meetings. And other people chiming in, like, yeah.
This is relatable, but that guy, Jack Lawson, came and said, I've always felt that the rooms would fall in the category of places, considering they are the only place I know how to cut drugs after being sober for 5 years, losing contact with my connects years ago. So yeah, don't go in the rooms.
He's
then.
got
That,
and you know
that
what?
seems-
He does have a point. If you're not,
yeah,
if you're not hanging with the right people, for sure, right?
I think that's a matter of boundaries as well.
You got to set the boundaries in that situation. So Jack would have to set the boundaries in this situation.
Thanks, Jack.
Maybe don't hang out with the guy with the sniffles.
Well, Mandy, you're lucky. You're lucky. I never encountered that in a meeting. Neither did I. Nobody offered me drugs in a meeting.
I haven't hung around enough for them now.
Keep going.
Keep going. There it is. No, you went by it. You went by the circle. No, go up.
Oh, okay, yes.
No, go right there. That's me. That's the line. This is like, yeah.
Wow.
My brain telling me to get up at 2:40 in the morning. Fuck off. Circle. I posted that in another page. I got a lot of good feedback from a lot of people about it. Wow, and this was interesting. I'll just throw this out here. One guy commented, and he was talking about the VA, which is the veterans hospitals, right? The VA, veteran agency for people who have been discharged. Well, most of them have been discharged, I would imagine.
Wow.
And I don't know if you saw his comment. They prescribed him starting out of the gate almost with, I guess because of PTSD, 400 milligrams of Seroquel. 400 milligrams of Seroquel. Holy fuck, how do you get out of bed in the morning?
Day. You just sleep all day.
That's crazy, man.
I read
that comment,
but
I couldn't believe it.
It is most talkative in NA as a cult.
Yeah,
that
could be. I posted it there.
This is where they got the most comments. Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
Thank you for this chat. I already feel better. I'm not sick anymore.
Fuck.
I'm trying to manifest.
It worked. It worked its magic really fast.
You cured me.
Oh no, your higher power, man. Higher power.
That's
you asked. You asked.
That's you. I'm God, but you're the higher power.
You just had to ask the universe, man. It gives you all you need.
Cost me $100, but I got what I need.
It gives you everything you need, but it's broke. So don't ask for money. You know?
Yeah.
It's like that aunt that you have that makes you all those great cookies and cakes, but she never pays you for chores. That one.
Not sure this is a good trade-off. Anyways, thanks everyone for watching. If you did, then
you did.
Thank you, because that was that we were all over the place, but I was still entertaining. I think I was entertained.
I was entertained. And don't forget, check out our meme page, the 12-Step Crashers. And it's what do we call it? A compliment page, sister page? 12 shit. Wow.
It's a group.
12-Step Crashers Fellowship.
Yes, it's a companion group to the page.
You can post your memes there. It's a shit posting page.
Yes. Fellowship, you can do whatever you want. On the main page,
to an extent.
These days, you can expect about 12 or 15 memes per day. Eric is absolutely online. That's good.
No, I do it very quickly during breaks.
Yes. An inch, yes. Keep doing your thing, Eric.
Mm. Keeps me
Good
busy.
night. Good
I
night,
don't
my
have
friend.
to concentrate on work. Good night, everybody.